Now, the backlash for those corporate initiatives that are rich in vibrant diversity, inclusivity, and equity are getting a significant backlash. And in 2024, it's almost impossible to deny the existence of the backlash with brilliant titles that came out recently, such as Forspoken, such as Dust Bowl. We also have Suicide Squad. Titles that are still waiting for that modern audience to arrive, but they only have like 200, maybe 50 concurrent players on Steam. Abysmal numbers. And meanwhile, games that don't have that rich diversity, like Wukong. Again, the journalists pointed this fact out, that it lacks in that American rich and vibrant diversity that they're making record numbers in sales. So the companies are getting the memo. They're understanding that, all right, well, the customer doesn't like it. So if the customer doesn't like it, what we need to do is a rebranding. Because they do need those consultants. Those consultants give them access to cheap loans from BlackRock. In some cases, they give them access to government tax cuts. They give them access to government grants. Like a lot of these DEI games are being funded, whether by governments like Norway or the European Union, for promoting culture. And in order to get that grant, you have to have that like rich, vibrant diversity. So again, like they want to sell the game. They want to, milk the customer for microtransactions and skins and stuff. But at the same time, they also want those government grants. They want that investor money. So like, what will they do? Well, they're going to try a rebrand. So as you can see here, according to Activision, going forward, we'll be changing the name of our group from DEI to Inclusive Growth, to represent the dynamic and strategic work our team is doing, to bring inclusion and equity to our people, candidate, games development, blah, blah, blah. And the change also better reflects the dynamic and amazing audience that plays our games today. Who are they, by the way? Who is this amazing audience that you talk about? Because yesterday I saw Diablo 4 for free on Steam. Again, like, I guess like that modern audience, When are they coming? When are they going to get there? Like, I want you to understand, right? Like, Blizzard, up until a couple of years ago, would never put their games on Steam. Like, they had their own launcher. They had their own Battle.net application, where they could harvest the customer data, where they could harvest your information, and where they could ban whomever they wanted. Under no circumstance would they go on Steam, but the numbers were dwindling so much that they had to launch on Steam. And not only that, but like, again, Diablo 4 is probably the first game, besides World of Warcraft, which is like a little bit different, right? Because that's an MMO. But Diablo 4 to be available for free? What madness is this, right? So again, that modern audience is probably like 50 or 60 people or so. So when they say, oh, this is to reflect our amazing audience, yeah, they're pretty amazing if they're playing your shit tier games, I guess. This adjustment does not impact one of our core values, championing that rich, vibrant Californian diversity, that democratic equity and inclusion, work value, critic culture, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so why do gamers really hate this shit? I mean, there's a plethora of reasons. First of all is the uglification of female characters, where they are pushing the androgyny to the max. So like the whole purpose is gender abolition. They're actually talking about it, where they're making female characters look like men, which is why they add the pronouns, which is why they go body type A, body type B, rather than use male and female. Like, all of these come in a package. And the whole purpose is to like create gender abolition in art. But like, the aesthetics seems to be very important. There was a survey that Capcom released, and they asked like, what do gamers care the most? And male gamers, the second thing that they cared about in any video game, more than even the story, was the aesthetics for the characters, right? So like, the first thing, I believe it was gameplay, and the second one was the aesthetics. So it's incredibly important for the audience when they play a fantasy to actually have characters that they can fantasize, either to go adventuring with, or to be with, or to actually become, right? So having like these ugly, disfigured, sometimes morbidly obese characters is no one's fantasy. Like, no one wants to spend $70 so that you can play with the characters from Dust Bowl. It makes no sense. You can do that outside for free. So the uglification of the aesthetics is the first one. The arrogance of the people pushing this, the arrogance, the extreme arrogance of the consultants, they're unbelievably insufferable. Like, you go on social media and you see how they talk to customers, you see how they react to people that disagree with them. It's beyond the pale. It's like hiring people for a supermarket that when you enter the store, they spit on you. They look at you with disgust and disdain. So, again, bad for business. Right? Like it's not enough that they're grifting. It's not enough that they're leeching off corporations. But they also need to have like the attitude. There's no attitude adjustment for these people. Another reason is the competency crisis. Like just so you can understand how bad this shit is, like putting talentless hacks at the top of the company is peak Soviet Union. This is what they did in factories, and why a lot of factories ended up not producing quality stuff. You put the boss's son on top of everyone else. Like, the most skilled engineer out there is now under the boss's son. So obviously he's going to feel frustrated, he's going to feel upset, he's going to feel marginalized. Whenever you put like someone that's talentless over a person with talent, you just crush that person. Like, they're going to come to work and do just the bare minimum required rather than put passion and soul into it. So like, Blizzard is a perfect example, right? Blizzard had some of the best story writers in video game industry. Like, it's true. Everyone knows the story of Prince Arthas. Everyone knows the story of Warcraft 3. Like, everyone around the world knows these things because they had the talented writers in order to come up with this shit. So what does Blizzard do? Oh, they talk about how they put a diversity officer, a lady, on top of the writing team. So I'm like, okay, well, I mean, she must be some hot shit. Like, maybe she published some really amazing books. And I look at her biography, nothing published, right? So you put a person that never published an interesting story in their life to now be on top of the actual creative geniuses that worked at your company and they managed to create such amazing storylines. Of course you're going to crush their souls and spirits, and they're probably going to look for other companies to work with. Or if they still work, they're going to do the bare minimum. And then it's also the stories that, I'm sorry to say this, but they are written for women. Nothing wrong with this, to write stories for women, but you're not supposed to do it in a teenage boy-oriented genre, which Warcraft was, right? Like, what I mean by this is that if you actually look at the original Warcraft and the art style, especially of Warcraft 2, like, you will see an orc with an axe holding the beheaded head of a human. And there's gore, and it's incredibly violent and brutal, because it's in the name, it's Warcraft. Right? Now, most women do not like this level of violence. Sure, you know, there are women that do, obviously, like, there's billions of women on Earth, but like, generally speaking, most women do not like this level of visceral violence. But teenage guys absolutely love it. Like, they absolutely adore this. And you know, if you make a product that caters to a specific demographic, like the Japanese do, it's called shonen, right? You're going to get more sales. Now, alternatively, you can actually make a video game that caters to women. Like, that's also fine. And there are some video games that can cater to both. Overwatch is one of those, right? But if you try to cater to both, you are going to lose the original audience. So there's no reason to do that, right? But what they do is like, no, now all of the games have to cater to women. And the problem is, like, the violence is still there, but the storyline is different. It's more like Twilight level. It's more like 50 Shades of Grey level. So you're losing the women and you're losing the men. And you end up with no one liking your shit. Like, here's an example of what I mean, right? Like a classic Warcraft 3 story. You have Garrosh, like, fighting with the Pit Lord. And there's nothing about, like, what Garrosh is thinking. Like, we don't know his thoughts or his emotions. All we know is that he's... and he's jumping with the axe, right? And he saves the life of Thrall. Like, that is how Warcraft 3 used to be. Like, that was the story. It was action-packed. There's not a lot of character growth, not a lot of character development. It's just like, no, guy with an axe hits big Pit Lord. And yeah, like, sure, you know, eventually some characters have some level of development, but the focus is on the actual action. Like, the focus is You see the Kodo beast with the rider beating the drums as the catapult goes over the hill, right? And then everyone charges and the infernals fall from the sky, and that's Warcraft. Now let's look at what's happening recently in Warcraft. Oh, we got Anduin, and Anduin is very angsty because he feels used, because he was mind controlled, and like the feelings that Anduin is experiencing, and you know, he's doubt, like the turmoil in his mind, and let's spend like 15 expansions so we can discuss like how Anduin is feeling so depressed, and he's so lonely. He's like a broken man. If only you have like a lady from Twilight coming in, you know, in order to put those pieces of a broken man together and fix it. And it's like, that is a boring story. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, like, I'm sure there may be people interested in that, but it's certainly not Warcraft 3, is it? Because at the end of the day, this is the problem, you know, like, they took these games that had a fan base, that already had people investing time into it, and then they changed them so fundamentally that people just don't recognize their games anymore. And you have, like, the talent leaving, like, the people that were there from the beginning and they invested their souls and passion into this, and they're leaving. And the only reason they did it is to attract a female audience, apparently. And what they did didn't work, right? Because if you play World of Warcraft now, and you meet another player, and I say, look, I'm going to give you $1,000 if you guess whether this person is a guy or a girl. And if you guess, you get $1,000. What are you going to say? Are you going to say, oh, this person is a woman? Or are you going to say this person is a man simply because, you know, statistically speaking, you're more likely to get the $1,000, right? So it didn't work. Now, what's interesting is that I actually did follow this closely. And, you know, playing World of Warcraft and having a big guild myself, like, obviously there were women playing. But when asked on the forums, and this is before the diversity consultants and everything, like, what would women want, right? Like, what would women want so that you girls can play Horde? Because, like, they noticed a lot of women were playing Alliance. And they were like, well, you know, is it like the fact that the Horde looks like the bad guys? Is it the fact that the Horde has, like, a lot of barbarians in it? Like, why is it that you girls play Alliance, and how can we get you to play the Horde? And what most girls said on that forum, they said that the way that they would play Horde is if it has pretty races. That's what they said. They wanted pretty races. So the next time Blood Elves come along, all of a sudden, you have like a lot of girls joining the Horde. Guess what they were playing? They were either playing like female trolls, or they were playing female Blood Elves. So when you fuck up the aesthetics, you're going to alienate more of the women that were there. I mean, look at even like video games like Overwatch and League of Legends. Again, like, girls play pretty characters. I don't blame them. And yet they keep manlifying these characters. They keep giving them manly jawlines. They keep making them androgynous. And I know, like, many ladies, I mean, there's content creators now. This is not 2016 where women are these ethereal thing on the internet. No, like, we have content creators on YouTube that are women that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they are actively saying, yeah, these characters look like horse shit. And when Stellar Blade comes up, and you have like all these Twitch ladies that are playing Stellar Blade, and they're like, oh my god, oh, she's so pretty, oh, I can't hardly wait to cosplay that. Yeah, and the diversity officers are telling them to do the exact opposite. It's almost like, what are the demographics playing our game? Alright, we got men. Make the story less about action and more about personality and the internal struggle of the characters. We have ladies that play. Okay, make the female characters as ugly as possible. Make them as if they're coming from a Democrat convention, as if they're from the soul of California. It's almost like they're going out of their way to piss people off, and then they go on Twitter, and if you disagree with them, they're insulting, they're obnoxious, and I'm willing to bet if they behave like this to the customers, they must behave like this to the staff as well. They must behave like this to their underlings as well. Like, imagine, you know, like on Twitter, when you have like one of these cheeky little shits that's a consultant or some spokesperson, a community manager or something, and they're giving you all the sass, right? Well, at least on Twitter, you can block them, you can choose not to read their shit. But imagine working with that person at the company. Imagine how toxic it is. Now imagine that you're an actually talented person, and you can find jobs at other companies, you don't have to put up with that shit. And then you have the competency crisis. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.